Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to the Q4 FY21 results conference call of Jindal SAW Limited, hosted by Emkay Global Financial Services. We have with us today Mr. Neeraj Kumar, Group CEO and Whole-Time Director, Mr. Vinay Gupta, Global Head Treasury, and Mr. Narendra Mantri, Head Commercial and CFO. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then 0 on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I would now like to hand the conference over to Mr. Ayush Bansal of Emkay Global. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to welcome the management and thank them for giving us this opportunity. I would now hand over the call to the management for their opening remarks. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, friends. I am Neeraj Kumar. First of all, I hope all of you are keeping healthy, all of you are keeping safe, and I wish the well-being and good health of all my friends, investors, stakeholders, all the people who are connected to the call. Thank you very much for sparing time during these times. As you know, late last week, which was Thursday, we completed our board meeting to announce our annual results, including the Q4 results, and I'm sure all of you would have got a chance to look at it. I would just like to let you know that we are all, that means my team, are taking this call from home because the lockdown situation in Delhi continues, and therefore we all are at different places and coming through this audio network. And therefore I would request all of you that sometimes in the questions we may have to just stagger it in a manner where we can, as a team, answer your question comprehensively. With that, let me begin. This time I would like to change our usual format of presentation. I would come to the Jindal SAW performance and the outlook towards the end, because topmost on all of us, everyone's mind, is the pandemic, the second wave, how we are dealing with it. I am happy to let you know at Jindal SAW, as we dealt successfully with the first wave with 0 fatalities, in the second wave too, we have managed relatively well. By that, I like to confirm that all our factories, all our units are working, and they are working well. But for the lockdown situation, where some of us in some of the cities are constrained to work from home, all other units and all other offices are also working. So I can confirm that as Jindal SAW, we are fully functional but complying with the regulatory lockdown situations, etc. This year, or this wave as well, the fatalities, we have suffered some fatalities because, as you know, we are a multi-point and a multi-location large factories organization. But the total number of fatalities, including workers, etc., everybody, is single digit. Probably it is 7 or 8 to be exact. And most of the places, people are healthy. This is on account of the effort that is being taken by Jindal SAW to give precaution, protection, as well as whatever assistance. We all, at all our units, have created a safety bubble kind of a scenario where within the premises we have created quarantine centers. Now, I'm also happy to let you people know that 3 of our units which is Bhilwara and Samaghogha. Through our CSR initiative, we have decided to put up oxygen plants which would be dedicated to the medical grade oxygen, and we intend to serve our community around, be a supplier of oxygen to the major hospitals around, so that we can extend that security or safety bubble not just to our factories but also a little around the community that we can serve. We will continue to maintain this infrastructure, have tie-ups with the hospitals in case of any emergency, in case of any requirement of ICU, because all our internal quarantine centers have all facilities but for the ventilators and ICU. So we are dealing with the situation as it develops. We have also taken the initiative of vaccinating the entire workforce management, and because now the government has opened up the vaccination possibility to above 18 years of age, and also has allowed the hospital and state participation. So through that, we are working on getting our entire workforce vaccinated so that then we can continue our operations uninterrupted. We all hope and pray that as a country, as a region, as a world, we are able to come out of it and the economy and everything else gets back on track soon. With that, let me turn my attention to some of the important initiatives and decisions that we have taken in the last board meeting. First, as you all know, that we had a fittings factory which was in Jindal Fittings Limited, which was making fittings for Jindal SAW DI pipe division. We also had a stainless steel business which we used to call JQTL, and we also had in Indore a Jindal Tubular Limited where we had a large diameter pipe. All three businesses, these businesses so far were operating like subsidiaries. It was essentially done to give that required initial attention to the unit as we grew the business. Now, this year, these businesses have grown to a reasonable size, and we have taken a decision of merging all of them into Jindal SAW, because it was like planted in subsidiaries initially to incubate and grow it up to a certain size, certain scale. Time has come now to structurally merge these units with Jindal SAW from a company standpoint, from your investor standpoint, from other stakeholders standpoint. Now these businesses would be a part of Jindal SAW, and therefore there will be complete transparency. We would not have issues of accounting, etc. going forward. And from a business standpoint, we will get the synergies of this all getting covered under Jindal SAW direct umbrella. So in terms of governance, in terms of standards, in terms of pre-qualifications, in all aspects, now they are an integrated part of the Jindal SAW standalone unit. We expect to benefit from these synergies because DI pipe business is growing. As you know, India has a huge emphasis now on the Jal Jeevan Mission. So the pipe unit and the fitting units will operate very, very closely together. Stainless business, as you know, has been a very important aspect of our growth strategy when it came to alloy steel, carbon steel, stainless steel, pipes and tubes market. So that would get integrated in terms of every aspect of the management. And the large diameter pipe business, which was in Indore, would also be now one more unit for Jindal SAW for large diameter pipes as we stand to address the opportunities being thrown open by India, especially the Jal Jeevan Mission. Subsidiaries With this reorganization of merger of all these units, we would be left with then only JITF, of which I will talk a little later. We would have then the US subsidiary and we would have the Abu Dhabi subsidiary. So, but for these, now Jindal SAW would be a very clean standalone entity encompassing all these businesses, making our business model even more robust. Turning our attention to the subsidiaries, as you all must have seen, the difference between the standalone and the consolidated results. The subsidiaries have started doing well. Foremost, our Abu Dhabi unit needs a mention. This year, we crossed 2 lakh tons of manufacturing and dispatch, which is the best ever for that unit. And we have a very healthy road book, order book, and a path ahead where, having crossed 2 lakh tons, which is the highest ever, this year we are planning to go beyond 2 lakh and come as close to 2.5. If the pandemic situation doesn't worsen, and if we are able to do regular business in Abu Dhabi, we are confident that we would be able to come very close to 2.5 lakhs or even grow further. The American subsidiary of ours, because of the economic situation there resulting out of the pandemic and the old administration, as you know, the coating, oil and gas, and all of those sectors were on a low. We are beginning to see some traction with the announcements that the Joe Biden administration has made. They have made allocations to infrastructure sector. Water sector is definitely seeing some buoyancy, and we expect that it would follow even the oil and gas as well as the shale gas sector. Otherwise also in US, the pipeline infrastructure has become old, and we expect some replacement demand also to generate some good business with us. This is on the demand side. On the supply side also, we have seen a certain amount of reduction because many of the pipe units that were there, they have not been able to sustain the pressure of the pandemic situation and have either curtailed their production or have shut down units. So there is a balancing of supply demand, and with Joe Biden administration announcing these packages for infrastructure development, we are hopeful that the US subsidiary would also start doing very well and go back to its old glory where it was always there. Turning our attention to JITF, as you all know, in JITF at this point of time there is a major litigation that is happening, which is in the High Court, was getting delayed because of the pandemic. In the window that we found open, we did manage to get a very significant hearing. We had to get some senior counsel, and we have achieved one significant milestone where now the Section 34 objection and all other related matters have been separated by the Honorable Court. They could see the merit in our argument that these need to be dealt with separately, because unnecessarily embroiling this arbitration award and their Section 34 objection plus our enforcement must be separated. All other things can be dealt with, which are non-material, I would say, in light of the size of the arbitration award that we have. So now the Honorable Court has separated these two matters, posted different dates for hearing, and those dates we were fully prepared to go into those Section 34 as well as enforcement hearing. Then this second wave hit, and those dates have been postponed. It is now due in July. But having achieved this, it gives us confidence that the arbitration matter would move very fast and should reach its logical conclusion. We are also hopeful that the other matters which relate to a few other smaller issues like transfer of those conveyor belts, etc. at Farakka would also be closed. But anyway, that is not material either in terms of money or in terms of any other issue with respect to or in light of this arbitration award. So we are hopeful that once the courts open, the arbitration award hearing, which is their objection under Section 34, and our enforcement would move and should move faster. So having covered all the subsidiaries and other major decisions that we have taken, let me now turn our focus to Jindal SAW. If you look at the Jindal SAW results, we could achieve an annual top line of 8,900 crores, which was down by 14% from the last year's 10,327 crores. But that was largely due to a complete washout of Q1, where there was a national-wide lockdown and all the factories, etc., everything had to be brought down to just a bare minimum survival. Quarter 2 was also a period where we were kind of building up, and therefore I would request you to look at or focus on our Q4 results, which is the quarter that we got last year to operate as a normal unit in a normal economic and business environment. There we achieved a turnover of 3,200 crores with an EBITDA of 460 crores. That, if you take and extrapolate, you would clearly come to the same situation where we believe we are now at a point of inflection. From here on, because of the tailwind that government policies, Atmanirbhar Bharat, a few other policies, stabilization of the oil prices, we are beginning to see the benefit of that, and that's how on an annualized basis, if you take these numbers, it very well surpasses the last year's performance. And we are hopeful that in the next 2 to 3 years, we should see a very healthy growth over all of these numbers. Other significant issue that I would like to point out is our financial expenses, because financial expenses have also come down significantly. For the quarter, we have shown 90 crores, which used to be upward of 100 in most of the earlier quarters. This has largely happened because we have brought in some further correction in our capital structure. In March, we could get a 500 crore NCD from LIC at a very, very economical rate with a very long, it's a 10-year paper, back-ended maturity. So that has given us a lot of comfort in terms of correcting our liability profile even further, where the cost has come down, the maturity profile has elongated, and we still continue to bring our overall loan, that also I will come to in a minute, has come down. We have shown a significant amount of reduction in the standalone as well as in the consolidated loan for the company over the years. Besides correcting the liability profile and bringing down the cost of debt, a lot of emphasis has also been put on the receivables. We have improved the collections very largely, and that has helped down in bringing down the working capital utilization. Consequently, the financial charges have also come down. So it's a combination of treasury function, correction in liability profile, as well as operations in collecting advances, in collecting receivables on time, having a tight credit control, that has resulted in the decrease in the financial charges, which on an annual basis is also showing a 20% decrease. On a quarter-on-quarter basis, it shows a 35% increase. If you see the other ratios, PBT to sales has also improved and has improved from quarter-on-quarter from the range of 4, 5, it has gone to 8.5 plus. So we, as I said, keep on looking at that we think that now we are at a point of inflection, and once the normal economy comes, in terms of once we turn to normalcy when it comes to the overall economy and the business environment, we are very confident that as Jindal SAW, we are completely ready and we would be able to take full benefit out of that and consolidate our leadership position. Another thing that I wish to highlight, which we have always been saying, that our business model is so robust that any of these stressful situations or extreme volatilities in any segment, there is a counterbalancing mechanism, which is keeping Jindal SAW very strong even now. Simple example, we all know what is happening in the iron and steel sector, which is the input for our pipe businesses. Lot of volatility there. But that's where the pellet business has helped us, because that rides the steel wave. So there is a compensatory effect and there is a normalizing effect, a balancing effect for Jindal SAW as a whole with the business. Now with stainless steel business also joining our portfolio, we believe that it would have a further solidifying effect of all these different business dynamics. Plus, stainless steel, if we are able to get into those high-grade, exotic, value-added, it will also help us in improving all other ratios in terms of EBITDA, etc. And now we are all set to really grow fast in our stainless steel business. If you now look at our production data, etc., which all of you have looked at, pellets have kept us absolutely in the forefront for this year as well. The order book situation, as you know, our sweet spot is having an order book of more than $1 billion. At present, we are at 800 million. This is largely on account of a very good execution in the last quarter. After that, because of the second wave, the order flow has reduced a little bit. Plus, we are also waiting and watching for the raw material prices to get stabilized a bit, which we believe has reached a peak, and there should be some correction in the iron and steel sector. And therefore, on paper, in terms of numbers, the order book shows a decline for over $1 billion to about 800 million. But we are very confident and it fits into our strategy. We will ramp it up the moment the economy opens, because there are plenty on the horizon, whether it is in the oil and gas sector, whether it is in the other infrastructure sector. Defense sector is a very important sector that we have opened up for ourselves. We have been able to make a breakthrough through our seamless business into the gas cylinder business, the CNG or others. That's a significant development that we have made in the seamless business to break into the cylinder business. So looking at all of these businesses that are there on the horizon, the opportunities that we see, we are very hopeful and confident that we are ready. It is like we have the resilience. Whenever the external environment poses difficulties or puts pressure on us, fundamentally we are so strong that we have to dive in through our inner strength, and that gives us hope, that keeps us ready to take advantage of the moment normalcy is returned to the economy and the business environment. So on order book, we are confident that the moment things open up, riding on the Atmanirbhar, riding on the other schemes, we would be able to get our order book to over $1 billion, which is our sweet spot in very short period of time. Another very important aspect that I would like to mention is through our seamless business, we have entered the 13 chrome, that's a special grade market, and the Atmanirbhar Bharat scheme is also focusing on substituting the pipes and tubes, among other things, which were earlier imported by domestic products. Wherever we are showing capabilities, we are executing our developmental orders, be it in the drill pipe segment, be it in the other exotic segment. As I said, we are getting entry and we are getting significant businesses from those which are also profitable because they are those value-added and exotic grades. So the Atmanirbhar scheme is also helping us in this. Encouraged by all of these, Hunting and we, if you recall, we already had announced an alliance coming together. We have decided to, both of us, further solidify this relationship where we are upgrading our Nashik facility, absorbing more technologies, getting some more new equipment so that now our Hunting-Jindal relationship can actually participate in the global supply chain. Because there is one more important aspect that I would like to mention. As you all may know, Hunting is the American giant. They had a strong presence in China because of the geopolitical situation. This alliance of Jindal and Hunting is looking at how much can be absorbed from those developments into India in our Nashik facility to start with, and maybe add if required. How much of that can be absorbed, assimilated in this alliance so that it goes up the value chain, we get more technology, we start producing more products, and we also get better integrated to the global supply chain and also come among the frontline suppliers to OCTG market, to these CAR grades on a global scale. So there, some significant steps are being taken. Hunting and we, as we speak, are engaged in a very meaningful, very fruitful, positive-looking dialogue, and we may be able to reach some good conclusion soon, where we would be able to stitch even a much stronger and deeper tie. Raw material prices, are we very concerned? The answer is no, because we know that it is likely to correct. The steel prices, the height where it has reached, will, we believe, soon correct itself. And also now we are able to pass on some of the increase in the raw material prices to our customers. What it has done is, whether it is the government infrastructure scheme or any other infrastructure investment, either through state or center or through EPC, we are seeing, especially in the water sector, some slowing down because of the high input costs. But we believe that once this is curtailed, every state by now has its own plans for water grid. They have got huge allocations and they all have a desire to get into it. We will benefit from it. We are getting ready, and that was one of the reasons to get our Indore plant also within the Jindal SAW fold directly, because Madhya Pradesh has a lot of river linking or water body linking, long transmission, and a water grid project, as we see in Rajasthan, as we see in Uttar Pradesh. Uttar Pradesh, we have our Kosi plant. Rajasthan, we are able to supply from Samaghogha plant. So we are hopeful that all of these Jal Jeevan Mission, Atmanirbhar scheme, for which I have already spoken about, will give us enough push, enough opportunity, and as Jindal SAW, because of our fundamental strength, debt coming under control, the management bandwidth being expanded, people like Hunting coming together to scale up our quality consciousness, visibility, all of these point towards a very promising future. As we speak, we are at a point of inflection, what we believe, and we are absolutely ready. The moment the economy opens up, we will be able to go up. On the Middle East region, which again largely contributes for our exports, we are also seeing that now relatively things are beginning to settle down. Oil prices have settled down. Countries like Iraq have started getting rebuilding. So there also we are hopeful. And a firm indication of the stabilization of the MENA region is the good performance of our Abu Dhabi unit, which again largely supports the water sector, which is very much in scarcity there. So with all of these, we see that we have a very good future ahead of us once we are able to get to terms with this pandemic in India and in the region. Before I close, one more thing that I must also confirm to all of you. The first tranche of ESOP, which we have structured as a SAR, share appreciation or stock appreciation right, has been distributed. As management, we have taken a view to go as wide, as deep as possible. So first tranche has been executed, and we wish to continue with that as we move forward. So all said, let me close by saying that in the next 3 years, we must have a double. Only one caveat: how does COVID pan out and how much disruption it causes. Otherwise, on a CAGR basis, we are very confident of a double-digit growth over the next 3 years, the way we see it now in terms of our preparedness. Fundamental strength is there, and we are ready. So with this opening, let me stop, and also let me give my stakeholders, analysts, shareholders, investors, all of you, please take note of our email ID, which is rajiv.goel@jindalsaw.com, because since we are all at different places, my request would be, if there is a very specific question about some specific numbers, please forward your query to rajiv.goel. He is a senior member of our treasury team, works in Vinay's team at jindalsaw.com. Our assurance to you, it would be replied. Definitely, we will make an attempt to reply all your queries within a week's time. So with that, let me close and invite some questions. Thank you all. Thank you very much for taking interest in us, and thank you for having the patience and the faith in Jindal SAW Limited.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handset while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. Before we start with the question and answer session, I would like to remind participants to please limit your question to 2 per participants only. You may rejoin the question queue if you have a follow-up. The first question is from the line of Manish Bhandari from Bemal Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon, Jindal SAW team. I have two questions. One is regarding the debt reduction plan. So, Neeraj and team, if you can guide us that what should be the debt reduction plan going forward, and also on the interest rate, you have some netting of the interest income from the subsidiaries, which could be notional in nature, as I understand. So, if you could tell us what should be the total cash out expense of the interest on an annual basis. So, this is my first question.
Okay, first question, let me address your debt question related to debt. In March 2020, the total debt of JSOL was 3,550 crores, which has now come down to 2,900 crores. On a consolidated basis, the total debt was 5,000 crores in March 2020, has now come down to 4,200 crores. This year, if you see in our current liability, if you got a chance to look at my balance sheet, there is a lot of repayment which is falling due during this year. Our intention is to follow the debt profile, and there you would see a significant reduction on the Jindal SAW debt during this year, because there are some natural repayments which are falling due. Also, Manish, let me tell you that having got that 500 crores LIC money for 10 years, any major future borrowing program we don't have to do because we have enough working capital. Also, let me address, maybe some other viewers also should have this question. CapEx for Jindal SAW for the year would be limited to the maintenance CapEx and some capacity balancing CapEx. We do not have any major projects on Jindal SAW at present, and we do not intend taking on any major project in Jindal SAW. There are some CapEx that you would see in our total year. If you look at my CWIP figure, some capacity balancing and increase is happening at Abu Dhabi, part of also happening at US, so that we are ready for, as I told you, in Abu Dhabi now from 2 lakh tons, we want to go to 2.5 lakh tons. In US also, we want to make sure that we are ready for the market when it opens up. A few corrections are required. So there is no major CapEx, at least in Jindal SAW, at a standalone basis. As far as netting of interest income, etc. is concerned, it is not significant, Manish. The major part is largely on account of the reduction in interest expenses, and that should stay there.
Sure. My second question is regarding your comment on the robustness of the pellet prices and being ahead versus the other changes. So, one confusion I have is related to net, the pellet prices have gone up substantially, and our cost of production remains the same because of our backward integration. So if
Correct.
I have to think hard, then maybe we should be a beneficiary of the pellet prices. Maybe something we will give in the way till we have some order book which we cannot pass on in DI or in steel. But once
Manish, you are absolutely on the money. Because of the mines available in the house, we have even curtailed purchase of skill mills and other things, so that in our pellet division we are able to maximize the benefit that we are getting out of the high prices in the iron and steel sector. And we wish that we will continue to have that benefit till the time the iron and steel businesses price there is a correction. Then we would have our pipe business pick up, order book pick up. So that's the robustness of Jindal SAW, that there is a compensatory mechanism inherent in the system itself. And then we would start doing well on the large dia, for the DI, for which, as I have already told you, most of the states have got their pipe grid plan in place. They have delayed their tenders. I can give you a few examples where we have been in touch with the senior people. Huge amount of tenders were, but they have just held it back on account of these volatility in the raw material prices, because these water projects are or tend to be price sensitive. So you are absolutely right on that, Manish, that we have a robust model and we'll get that benefit one way or the other.
And lastly, Neeraj, you spoke about the ESOP trust. So what is the total number of shares ESOP trust need to buy? And is there a time frame when they will buy this? And this is market purchase which you need to report?
What we have done is we have set up a trust in the company, which is managed independently by independent trustees. As per the rule, they get some interest-free loans from the company, use that to buy shares of Jindal SAW, and then out of those shares, the stock appreciation rights are distributed to the employees, which for the current term would get vested in the employees in percentages over a 2-year period. And that is how we wish to continue. And once the liquidation part happens, the trust will build its own corpus, and then it will further grow, and the whole thing will be then run in a cycle, which will be used to retain employees, make them part of or align them with the goals, and in the process, they would also get rewarded by the appreciation in the stocks.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for your
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Chirag from Adina. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. My question is on the order book side. You mentioned we are expecting a good flow of order once the economy gets normalized. So what is the year-end target for FY22 and FY23 to receive orders?
Year-end target, as I told you, the sweet spot of our order book is always above $1 billion. And now with stainless business and all those coming in, we expect that to go a little higher. So this gap of current order book of 800 million to going above $1 billion should be a function of a few months, the moment the economy opens and those tenders and those projects are put on track.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Pratiksha Daskari from Equitas Investment. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity, sir. So, my first question was about DI pipes. So, considering that DI right now is a substantial portion of our order book, and over the last 2 years, we've seen this come up, say, from 35% to now 55%. How do we see the margins, overall blended margins being impacted, considering that raw material price hike would be most felt in this segment?
In the DI segment, if you see, our entry point is iron ore lumps. We have our own blast furnace, which also we manufacture some, like we do pellets there. Here we do some pig iron. So since the entry point is iron ore lumps, and we go right up to coated double chamber DI pipe, the value add that we have within our premises is significant, and we are very hopeful of the DI market. We are very hopeful of the DI pipe segment, because now there is a very large range of acceptability of using DI pipes for potable water as opposed to any other pipes for transporting at least the drinking water. So DI pipe, we are confident and would definitely be very much involved in the growth story of Jindal SAW over the next 2 to 3 years.
Sir, what I wanted to understand was that how would the margins be in this segment? Like, do we expect considering DI being such a huge portion, do we expect to grow?
The margins also may improve because demand is likely to grow, whereas in supply we have just heard 1 or 2 announcements, but yet even if they fructify, they are 24 months at least down the line. So in the interim, because of the water grid project, the demand is likely to exceed current supply that we have, and not all players in the DI market are fundamentally that strong. I'm talking about the current players as we are, to take advantage of that. So there is a demand supply benefit that we are going to get, demand exceeding supply, and the relative strength of the DI manufacturers should again put us in a very good stead where we would be able to gain market from there. Also, it's important now to point out with this merger, we would be only among the 2 players who would be making the fitting. And fitting also gives you a good margin, because then you can become a total pipe plus fitting supplier to a EPC contractor or a large project. So now with fittings also getting merged in Jindal SAW, those margins also will get captured in Jindal SAW only.
Okay. Sir, on the seamless front, do we expect to maintain the volume growth that we saw in FY21? Do we expect to do better?
In terms of capacity, we have expanded. As you know, we have gone up to 16 inches. As you know, now our Nagothane plant has also readied itself and is ready to give out carbon steel pipes up to 8 inches. We have tested, we have upgraded that facility. So Nasik now goes up to 16 inches, Nagothane goes up to 8 inches, and we have done some capacity rebalancing between both the plants so that we would be able to run long campaigns, and therefore, yes, we are ready for a volume growth. In terms of a production growth, we are definitely ready, and we expect some volume growth also to come in, because this segment caters to the defense. As I told you, we have made a breakthrough in the gas cylinder, because gas cylinder, the body is nothing but a seamless pipe. And then you do the 2-side capping and other things. So looking at all of these, we are confident and hopeful of the seamless segment giving us growth. Yes.
Okay. And so just one last question. Do you expect to
request you to rejoin the queue for your follow-up, as we have people waiting for their turn. Thank you. The next question is from the line of Saket Kapoor from Kapoor & Company. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Dhanyavad, sir, for the opportunity. Sir, just in continuation to the earlier speaker, sir, this gas cylinder part opportunity, if you could elaborate, sir. Is it an import substitute that we are doing, sir? And currently, is Jindal SAW the only player, or the other seamless players are also in the foray?
We have made a recent breakthrough, and we intend then becoming one of the largest suppliers to car manufacturers for their CNG cylinders. It is, in a manner of speaking, an import substitute, because so far this was dominated, because some of the car manufacturers are again Japanese, Europeans, and so they had other players also involved in it. We would be definitely now addressing this segment very seriously. And in terms of your second question, how many Indian players have broken into this? I have to come back to you on that. I don't have a data ready-made on my hand. But it was a difficult segment to break because we had to pass through a lot of kind of metallurgical and other tests, because as you know, these gas cylinders have a heavy security concern because they handle high pressure in different kind of scenarios, because vehicles, etc., they are always moving on the road. They face different heat situations. So who are the other Indian players into the segment? I will try and come back. Rajiv, in fact, if you are listening to this question, please make sure that we reply that within a week.
Yes, sir. Sir, as for this restructuring committee part, I think, sir, you have elaborated the entire concept, what this committee would be now looking into, the restructuring of subsidiaries. So, sir, going forward for this year, sir, what has been the contribution from the fitting business part and the Abu Dhabi to the top line and bottom line?
Abu Dhabi, if I recall correctly, Mantri, are you on the call? We got a EBITDA contribution of $20 million.
Yeah, that is correct. From Abu Dhabi? Yes.
Yeah, Mantri, Abu Dhabi. Because, okay, to broadly, while you look at the number, Mantri, if you just look at the standalone EBITDA and the consolidated EBITDA, the difference largely is coming from Abu Dhabi. But what is the exact EBITDA? Probably it is $20 million, if I recall correctly.
It is more than $20 million, but exact number will revert to Mr. Kapoor.
It is above, so it's thereabouts, but we have added about $20 million to our EBITDA from Abu Dhabi.
Right, sir. And a very small point.
Mr. Kapoor, may I please request?
Yeah, ma'am. I got
you.
your point. Yeah.
The next question is from the line of Anish Tulsian from Wealth Creators. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Congratulations for a good set of numbers.
Thank you.
Just had one question. Sir, when you talk about the NTPC money, the amount what we have received already, say 50 crores odd, so that is given against bank guarantees, right? So can we get a breakup of how much debt has gone into the current portion of debt, so that we can get a clear picture that, you know, when and if the NTPC money will come, that time this debt is pertaining to the bank guarantee, thing like that?
Okay. Let me address that to you two ways. First way, looking from a Jindal SAW standalone perspective, they have not given any bank guarantee, and significant amount of money has not come, because these are only interim orders or relief, which you rightly said, money is being obtained from NTPC against bank guarantee. You would also know that in today's environment, whenever you seek a bank guarantee, you have to put a huge amount of money as collateral and other collateral. So from a investor or a stakeholder standpoint, it should give you comfort that yes, if the court is ordering, so far court has ordered in different tranches about 800 crores which has come in, all against bank guarantee. For the investors who I would request look at it as a comfort, because if the court does not see the merit in the arbitration award, they would not give this kind of an interim relief. But in terms of actual relief coming into the company, it's not much, because whatever money has come has been locked in with the banks, etc., for providing those guarantees. But having said that, going forward now with the separation of the litigation into Section 34 and enforcement being taken separately, we are hopeful that the final determination should happen soon. Once that money comes, we are confident and we wish to confirm all Jindal SAW dues will be repaid, because the money which is likely to come is much more than all the exposure that Jindal SAW has on JITF. So broadly, that is how it will settle down. It's a matter of time. It's a matter of High Court and High Court getting disrupted with COVID. That is how we have actually suffered in the last 2 years. And we are hoping that now in July, once the court opens, we would be able to impress upon the court for a quick final determination.
All right, sir. Thank you for the answer. So the next part of my question is relating to the natural debt reduction. In this way, as mentioned, sir, you all plan to reduce debt more so in the natural course where the papers will mature or the limits will be paid off in this year. So can we get a figure of a rough estimate of how much that amount is going to be throughout the year?
Your voice is echoing a bit, but I got a sense. Vinay, if you are on the call, what is the roughly order of magnitude? 200, 300?
No, in the current year, it will be in the...
No, Vinay, you are not very visible.
If you can hear me, it is 550 to 600 crore rupees in the current year.
Okay. So that's for the investors. I told you there is a large amount which is falling due during the current year, 550 to 600 crores, and we intend repaying all of those as the maturity falls due.
Thank you, sir. All the best.
We might prepare some amount. Okay.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Mukul Verma from Verma Associate. Please go ahead.
Yes, good evening and congratulations for a fantastic set of numbers. I had one question. Just wanted to know, are there any listed competitors in the space you operate in?
Good question. Does any one single listed or not listed company operate in the entire space that we are in? The answer is all over the world we are unique in our business model. But in different segments, yes, there are people. Large diameter pipe segment, you have got people like Welspun, etc. In seamless segment, you have got people like MSL.
Okay.
In DI, you have got Electro Steel, now Vedanta. Tata also manufactures. So people, large players compete with us in certain segments. And mind you, in those segments also, our capacity in every segment is among the top 2 or 3.
Okay.
So we are a significant player in all these, but the entire product portfolio, there are none in the world.
Fantastic. Thank you, sir. Wish you all the very best for the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Tushar Pednekar from Ventura Securities. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, sir. Sir, my first question is related to other expenses because there is a significant jump in the other expense in this quarter. Is there any one-off in that, or it is a regular level for the company?
No, it's a regular because the other expenses, they are a part and parcel of the expenses of business. And since the turnover has gone up, you would be able to see that there is a correlation between the other expenses and the turnover for every quarter. So there is no other significant other expense that is there. But still, let me let Mantri, who is the commercial head, Narendra Mantri, confirm that to you. Mantri, if you are listening, other expenses are all a part and parcel of our business, right? And they can be correlated to the sales.
Yes. And if you see, Mr. Tushar, if you see my other expenses are to the tune of 20 to 21%. You will find these numbers within that.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. And sir, my next question is related to working capital. If I'm not wrong, there is a slight change means net working capital days increased by 15-20 days in the last 6 months in H2 FY21. So
that is purely related to the increase in operations in quarter 4.
Okay.
Quarter 4 operations have really gone up significantly, and for us, trade finance as well as opening of LC's, payment of raw material, they are all very much embedded as a part of my operations, and therefore the working capital, peak working capital requirement kind of tracks our operations, which is top.
Okay. So normal working capital days will be around 100,
Mr. Tushar, may I request you to please rejoin the queue?
Okay, thank you.
Before the next question is asked, let me give a guidance to all my friends. For these kind of number crunching or these kind of questions where you would need assistance to do your projections and modeling, I would all strongly urge you. Rajiv is there. He will guide you and help you through so that you can build your assumptions. Because these numbers, I do understand, are important for you to build your financial model to make a view on this. Because all those questions on this kind of a call, a 1 hour call, we may not be able to really give you a very exact answer, but that's only for the want of time and the format. Rajiv will help each one of you with those assumptions about those specific expenses or revenue items and their correlations.
Thank you. Due to paucity of time, we take the last question from the line of Vikas Singh from Phillip Capital. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for taking my question and congratulations on very good set of numbers. Sir, I just want to understand, you have given us 2-3 years of CAGR guidance in the double-digit growth. But just wanted to understand FY22, if I would like to see the guidance. So in terms of volumes, how do we see that from the 1 year perspective, considering that we started the year with a lower order book? And secondly, should we assume that like every year, this year would also be the same, then first half would be on a weaker side and second half would be very strong?
First quarter already we have seen. The economic data also has come out. GDP growth has registered approximately 2%. The first quarter would definitely be weaker than what we could expect. For a full year guidance, my request would be, please wait for 15-20 days more. Let the economy at least get out of this pandemic mode, because any guidance till the time we are firmly back on economy, firmly out of this lockdown situation, would be just taking a guess. So I would request, get in touch with us maybe towards the 3rd week of June. Hopefully by then the economy would start showing signs of resurgence and going back to normalcy. We would definitely give you. We have a full year plan, but that full year business plan will have to be now calibrated because of this second wave. So 3rd week of June, we should be ready to give you a full year proper guidance.
Understood, sir. And sir, just one more clarification. Our trade receivables have been on a growing side. So just wanted to understand, is this have been normalizing or the things are still moving towards on a basically increasing working capital size?
Would you please repeat your question? I couldn't get your question.
So our trade receivables have been increasing. So just wanted to understand, have we started receiving money and started unwinding some of these, or it would take time?
Okay, got it. Because of the pandemic scenario kicking in, you may see some receivables getting delayed. But let me assure all of you, we have a very tight credit control. So we have never faced, and we are unlikely to face, any significant bad debt or write-offs on account of non-collection. Because the general principle that we follow with government, with PSUs, you have to have an open credit. That's how they function. Where you can see some delay sometimes on account of allocation of funds, etc. But normally, if the quality of product that you have given matches there or it meets their requirements, money always comes, because we always deal with state authorities and that authorities which are good in nature. As far as private sector is concerned, most of our businesses are done against letter of credit, and therefore provisioning or bad debt has never been, and the kind of credit control policies that we follow will not be an issue for Jindal SAW.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the last question for today. I would now like to hand the conference over to the management for closing comments.
At the end, again, I would start with thanking all of you, as I said, for being patient, for being resilient. I know in the recent last 2-3 years, all of you or many of you have been anxious and been patient. Sometimes you have been also, we have received those questions. All I wish to assure you is we are working very diligently, very alertly in everybody's interest, and we are growing as an organization in our fundamental strength. We are now, we believe, at a point of inflection. Once the economy comes back on track, we would absolutely be there and ready to take advantages of that with all of these that I have told you in terms of joint ventures, new products, and the natural expansion and growth of our organization. Thank you all. Thank you very much. Stay safe, stay healthy, and let's meet up in the next call. I hope all of you please stay on, be with us. This is definitely in the long term, you will benefit from it. Thank you.
Thank you. On behalf of Emkay Global Financial Services, we conclude today's conference. Thank you all for joining. You may now disconnect your line.